1. Years ago in the 90s, I did a short stint at a theme-roomed hotel attached to the, at the time, world's largest shopping mall. We had 5 themed room types. The truck room had a 57 Chevy with a bed in the back, traffic lights and road signs all over. There was a Roman room with a round bed and statues making up the decor. There were a couple other types as well. The rooms themselves were quite small, but commanded top dollar and was a destination hotel, plus it was built into a 5.2 million square foot shopping mall, water park and amusement park. As you might imagine, it was very busy on long weekends and special occasions. Christmas was an exceptionally busy time, but like most hotels, business dropped off in the new year, so when February 14th approached, the hotel pulled out all the stops in advertising for the big occasion. This year the 14th was a Friday, and the Monday a statutory holiday, so they were packing it as a 3-night stay with romantic dinners, breakfast in bed, rose petals in the bathtub, etc., etc. The hotel and the shopping mall were simply smothered in advertising hawking the romantic weekend. The ownership group that owned both the shopping mall and the hotel were known to be notoriously cheap. They had given the entire print campaign to a new, untried company that offered a steep discount. The print campaign included banners, flyers, posters, inserts, tent cards, etc., etc. When the materials arrived in early January, the banquet department was tasked with distributing all of the content. A battalion of Filipino ladies slathered all public spaces with posters. You couldn't swing a dead cat in that hotel without hitting a poster. I was the shift FOS for the evening after the posters went up, and I was in an elevator going to do my room inspections. All front office managers had to inspect 25 rooms a week and submit maintenance requests and housekeeping reports. I was alone in a guest elevator and glanced over at the promotion poster. It looked odd, but then the doors opened and I stepped into the hallway. In the hallway was another poster, and I examined it at length. Something wasn't right, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I was sitting in the back office when it hit me. I went out to the desk and looked at a poster we had behind the agents. Valentine's was misspelled Van-lentines, with an extra N. There were 10 pallets stacked with boxes and boxes of the various print materials, and on every product, every instance of Valentine was spelled Van-lentine. I think when you look at the sign printed in big red letters with hearts and Cupid shooting bows and arrows, your brain just automatically recognizes the word, without you actually reading it. That is why it took me a while to figure out the spelling errors. I took down all the materials that were on display around the front desk. I sent an email to the director of sales pointing out the error. The next day I was on my 2 days off, and I assumed it would be handled by my return. When I got to the hotel after my days off, I was surprised to see the same sign up outside the staff door. But I assumed they just forgot to take that one down, so I peeled it off the wall and brought it inside with me. I was very surprised upon getting into the hotel that all of the signs, still containing the misspelled term, were still up everywhere. When I checked my work email, I did not have that email at home in those days, as email was very new. I had a message from the DOS telling me they were just going to run with it. It would be too costly to recreate everything, and they didn't think it could be done in time. Someone, somewhere along the line, had signed off on the proofs that were sent to them by the printing company. So when they initially contacted the printing company to tell them about the error, the company said, "Tough shit, you approved the proofs." English was not the first language of the printing company owner. Really, it was like his 4th, 5th, or 6th language. I personally thought it was a joke for a hotel of this caliber to continue to use that material, but ultimately we only received about a half-dozen reports over the entire time the content was up. 2. This happened last night. I was on the night audit shift, and just after 4 a.m., I decided to go use the bathroom before starting cooking our hot breakfast. I leave the bathroom and head to the kitchen, since it's very rare that anyone is waiting at the front desk that I'm not expecting. Plus, I have to walk past the front desk and into the lobby anyway to get to the kitchen. Anyway, there was this guy playing with our cereal dispenser. I was like, okay, guess got up early for a cold breakfast, whatever. I put the cold stuff out as soon as I get in for NA, because of the railway crews coming and going at weird times, and they usually miss our complimentary breakfast if I put everything out closer to 5 a.m. So I say hello as I approach the kitchen, and was about to say I could make him some bacon and scrambled eggs if he wanted something hot if he waited 5 minutes. Well, he wasn't a guest or working for the 2 railroad companies we usually host. He was a drunk that wandered in while I was using the bathroom. "Good morning, sir."
Whatever, you got a room?"
We weren't supposed to check people in after 3 a.m., a weird rule my GM decided we need. Plus, we were almost a full house. Let me go check if we have any availability. I turned to walk back to the front desk.
"Or would you rather I drive drunk?"
No, sir, I just need to see if we have anything available. Have you stayed with us before?
"No, I usually drive by." "Place looks fancy."
Yes, we are a 4-star hotel. Gives property benefits as standard to all new clients. The best available rate for today is $165 for a standard 2-queen bedroom.
Whatever.
Alright, may I see your ID and the card you'll be paying with?
Debit?
No, I need a credit card. Another weird GM decision, not mine. DG annoyingly hands me his ID and CC and glances around weirdly.
Kind of fucking expensive for a drunk guy, isn't it? What if I walked out of here and drove drunk tonight? What would you do?
I would inform the local police that there was a drunk driver on the road. Here's your registration, sir. Please fill out your vehicle information and sign here and initial at the bottom.
I don't have a car. I wouldn't be filling that out.
Okay, I just need you to sign and initial then. Here you go. I place the automated teller with DG's card inserted to pay for his room.
This is pretty expensive for a drunk driver, you know.
Yes, we are a 4-star hotel, sir, at almost full capacity. I take back the auto teller. You'll get your receipt with a detailed copy at the end of your stay. Here's your key. You're in room 512.
My receipt?
Yes, you'll get it with a
Give it to me now.
I can see he's starting to get aggressive with me, plus he leaned over the counter, obviously trying to intimidate me with his height. I'm 5'9" and wearing heels. It wasn't obvious until he started being hostile. He was like 6'2". Okay. I print out a duplicate receipt. He turns to the security camera above me.
It would be great if this place had a fucking taxi, you know, for drunk drivers.
Our cameras don't record audio, and I am the only staff on property. My GM usually comes in at 9 a.m. weekdays. This was the weekend. And we have the town's taxicab service listed at the front desk in big obvious letters on our local services poster. Sir, there is a taxi service. Do you want me to call them? He just stares. Is there anything else I can do for you?
My room. What room am I in?
512, I wrote it on your key, sir. He leaves the front desk for the elevator, starts yelling at the camera in the hallway.
Oh, taxi, you're fucking lucky I have money.
I watch him on the security cameras until he goes into his room. Then I finally can go get breakfast started. By the way, I used to work as a barmaid and bouncer, jokingly called a tavern wench by regulars, because the place was called Willowbrook Tavern and we had a pirate theme. So I'm used to dealing with drunk logic and not showing fear towards aggressive behavior. This guy would have been taken away by police if he tried anything beyond yelling at cameras and aggressively asking for a receipt. Plus, I knew he just needed a room to pass out in until he was sober anyway. It was a beer talking to him. 3. So to start, I offered to work a double for my boss since we had nobody scheduled for the 3 to 11 p.m. shift today. I thought it was going to be me and Boss Man since we've had every other senior front desk agent leave, or put their 2 weeks in. We are down to 3 senior front desk agents, one of which is our full-time auditor, and a bunch of new hires, maybe 4 or 5. I do 2 days of second shift, and 3 days of night audit for reference, and aside from my other auditor, who is newer than me, I am the only one capable of doing audit. My managers don't know how. Anyway, I came in at 4 p.m. instead of 3 p.m. after my manager asked what time I wanted to come in. He even said 7 p.m. if I wanted. Well, fuck my life, because that was the worst time. As soon as I got in, I wasn't able to count my till or do anything. I went straight to checking people in and answering their questions on top of phone calls for maybe 2 hours. Mind you, 80 arrivals to make your 150-plus room hotel fully booked at 100%. Shout out to understaffed housekeeping team for having every room checked in by 4 p.m. You the best. No hype to construction because we can't move people around if we are sold out. I also thankfully had a new hire working the additional pod, since we have 2 up here, and he was called in to help assist. But it didn't help at the same time because I had to stop mid-check-in or whatever to help answer his questions or calm a guest down after he angered them. Moving past the huge rush of people and phone calls, it did calm down. But we also serve an evening reception every single day from 5 to 7 p.m., and that's when it started up again. The whole lobby was packed. I haven't seen it like that since summer. Guests hammering the dispensers for utensils and making them spill out onto the floor. Guests using their bare hands instead of the provided utensils to grab chips, since we had nachos tonight. The whole 9 yards. Thankfully, my manager was still around to help smooth that out. But then all hell broke loose. We need more coffee, tea, and sugar, hot water, and on top of all those requests, I did have my houseman, but he was busy getting more towels for the pool and cleaning if I wasn't sending him up to rooms for requests. We had guests complain about the pool burning their eyes and them coughing. Yes, because there was 30 or 40 of you in there, and you weren't showering before hopping in, so the chemical reaction got all stirred up and blah blah. At least that's what my manager said. I also asked about the levels, and he asked our pool guy, who said they were good. Okay. So a parent complained, saying it was toxic and could be a lawsuit, yada yada. I told him I would contact my manager. But apparently, me returning to my pod wasn't good or fast enough, so he asked again if I was going to contact him and do something about it. Yes, give me a minute. I have many things to do. I even had another guest repeat the same thing after I did text my manager, like, yes, you aren't the first one to tell me and be an asshole about it. So I make pools closed signs and sent my little new hire off to put them on the doors, even against my manager's advice, because I didn't want more people to be affected, since I would be unaware until after if it was toxic or not. After making everyone leave and letting it calm down for about an hour, and being asked over and over when it would be open and why it was closed, I reopened it and allowed kids to stay until 11 p.m., even though it's meant to be closed for kids at 10 p.m. Due to the issue, cue the typical "I booked here specifically for the pool" card. That made them happy after at least. But wait, there's more. Our back elevator broke down and wasn't working. My husband tried to fix it to no avail. I called our maintenance man, who tried to explain to our houseman, who didn't get it. A bit of a language barrier. And our maintenance man after that said just to leave it be for now. My husband didn't like that and asked why I called a technician out. My husband didn't like that and asked if I should call a technician out. I obliged and had them send an overtime technician out to fix it, and he did. In about an hour or so, but no complaints, thankfully. Yeah, that might cost the hotel some and wasn't approved by a manager, but I do audit. I see all the numbers, they can afford it. Plus, better done now than on Monday or Tuesday when my managers are back in. To wrap it up, it's been a long day. I did so much. I'm exhausted. I've been here 8 months and never worked so hard. But I loved it. I loved being so busy and assisting so many people. The amount of happy people outweighs the nasty entitled ones. I have about 3 hours left of this double, and so far the 11 to 7 a.m. shift has been a breeze. Let's hope it stays that way. Back at 11 p.m. tonight. 4. We price match most third-party websites where I work, and we try hard to encourage direct bookings where possible. Sometimes I just can't find the price a potential guest is seeing, and tell them they'll have to book online after all. Not ideal, but totally understandable. A saving is a saving. And many of our guests are loyal enough to be happy to pay the slightly higher rate as the whole payment comes straight to us. Other Australian FTAs will know what I'm talking about when I mention the online vid made by a well-known millionaire entrepreneur who asked Australians to book direct to keep the commissions in Australia. When a guest is elected to book a bar best available rate, under SOP, standard operating procedure, is to explain the extra flexibility this gives them, i.e. the room is guaranteed. They can change dates and even cancel the room if necessary up to 24 hours before check-in starts, and not be charged a cancellation fee. They usually have selected this rate because they aren't 100% sure they are going to be traveling, but still want something held in to give them time to plan. We also explain the clear rules of prepaid non-refundable deals to ensure no misunderstandings, and have generally found that taking a little extra time in the initial inquiry saves complaints later on. But of course not all guests listen or recall what they've been told at the time. and others book directly on our website, but apparently the rules and rates are then open to interpretation. I once had a significant amount of time wasted by an unreasonable couple who had booked a bar on our website. At check-in, however, they expected me to match a non-refundable online rate they'd found online, as they had traveled to our venue that day. The bar was pretty flexible, and they had days leading up to this day to cancel their booking and rebook while it was still outside the 24-hour guaranteed check-in period. If they had wanted to be clever, but by check-in time, the now non-refundable payment had already been processed to their credit card, in full the night before as per our normal procedures. I tried to explain that the rules of the rate they'd opted for precluded changes or cancellations to a booking within 24 hours of arrival, plus you can't just change an agreed-upon price after arrival. They refused to listen to the reasons it wasn't possible, and after I said I wouldn't price match either, they demanded I cancel their booking and refund their payment so they could book the cheaper rate online and save $10. It would have been easier just to give in, but I wanted to teach them a lesson in respecting the rules of booking, so I complied. Before cancelling their booking, however, I went straight into our blocking system and took the last room type offline, smaller hotel with a lot more direct control, so it would not display in any online searches once released. As it was the last room in a lower rate bracket, this wasn't going to be a major issue, because I knew I'd easily sell it again later. When they went to sit in our foyer, using our free internet to go book our last standard room on a third-party website, that room was no longer available. They came back to the desk to ask what happened, and I said, "Oh no, someone else must have grabbed the room after you had me release it. Unfortunately, that's the risk posed until booking is secured by you. What a nuisance." And then shook my head sadly, saying I couldn't do anything further to take that room back. They ended up booking a higher standard room directly with me, that was more expensive than the roommate they had originally held, with a lesser discount that I happily price matched. It was a little spiteful, I know, but they were awful. I also sold the room I had taken offline less than 10 minutes later to a walk-in, at the full rate too. 5. Do y'all just ever have one of those weekends where every single person who walks through the door is balls to the wall bonkers? For me, it's always in winter when the freezing temps and the lure of our very cheap dorm beds draws in the local homeless. For context, we are a hostel that focuses on adventure seekers, as we are located in the Rockies. The homeless, we shall call them locals to be polite, are not allowed to stay, and we make enough money regardless I can turn them away. This week was full of them calling and trying to walk in. A nice relative even tried to slip me $100 to let one of them stay. Lady, you got $100, why are you putting them up here? But anyway, we shall hear the tale of the craziest of the week. What a great trophy to win. This dude calls me at around 6 p.m, asks if we have spots. I tell him yes, and that we are card only. He says great, he'll be there in 20. He is not there in 20, I am not shocked. Anyway, it's now 8 p.m. I've also dealt with people who didn't speak any of our staff's languages, and thought they booked a private room, not a dorm bed, for $30. Hint, a $30 private room anywhere in the Rockies during ski season is a serial killer plot. Also, someone tried to sneak in a dog, and I saw a mouse run through our lobby. They are also locals who love wintering inside, particularly in our hole-riddled 120-year-old property. I love setting the traps and disposing of little corpses every morning, it's my favorite thing. And we have a guest who needs gluten-free breakfast in the morning. There is more, but I'll stop there. But it's 8 p.m, we're small, we don't have a 24-hour desk. I get to go close up and go home, which I do, including putting up our drunk phone signs, which if you're checked in, have a number on them you can call for the door code if you get locked out. The sign expressly says checked-in guests only and for emergencies. Sadly, it's my night with the phone. I get home, I start making dinner. It's maybe 8:20 when the drunk phone rings. Oh great, I think some dumbass needs more towels or something. Nope. It's our I'll be there in 20 minutes guy. He apparently made a reservation with me on the phone. No. I tell him you did not give me a name or a card. That's not a reservation. Why can't you come back check me in? No, I'm sorry, it's after 8, our staff is all home. Our staff is me. I am home. It's also 15F outside, and this dude apparently can't read a sign that says emergency only.
But I called ahead.
Yes, you did. No, you can't stay here. It takes me approximately half a minute to lose my customer service voice. You aren't staying here. He's not a guest. I'm 2 miles away. He's not in my face. I give 0 fucks. I suppose if I was feeling nice, I could have popped up on my computer and booked him over the phone, but dinner was calling. So I hang up. He keeps calling. Then another guest calls. Apparently he rang the doorbell a lot and they let him in, despite our giant sign on the inside of the door saying, "Don't do that." Now this poor guest is in a really tight spot. I can't turn a guest into a bouncer, so I hop in my car and speed over. Sadly, we have no live-in staff at the moment. We have a 2-week gap between people right now. I had thankfully only had half a glass of wine. I also called the police non-emergency number on my way. We live in a small town. I'm not fond of our police force. Think Boss Hogg from Dukes of Hazzard. They once harassed an international work stayer we had who was from South America. But it's still a small town. I personally know the dispatcher and the police don't have better things to do. So I show up and kick the guy out. He was on something. Just as I get him out the door with the number for the shelter, the cops show up. He takes off running. The cops take off after him. They take him down right in front of the sheriff's car that's parked across the street where one of the deputies lives. I do like the sheriff's department. I work with them on search and rescue. The deputy and his wife also come out on their porch to watch. It was a thing of beauty. Turns out he had open warrants. Anyway, as gleeful as I was at the time, I am now the scandal of the year. We have about one a year, otherwise it's literally only bike theft. So fingers crossed the town asshole who owns the bar does something real stupid real quick. He also just opened a hotel, so plenty of opportunities. Update. Cops got called again in my day off. Woman so drunk she couldn't get out of bed at checkout. What is with this week? Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, number 33. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. It's been a minute since I did one of these, and somebody was asking the other day, so that was fortuitous timing. Or maybe that was iPop they were asking about. Oh, well. It'll be a couple of weeks for the next one of them anyway. I think we have neckbeards on Sunday. Let's actually just check to see what stories I have. Nope, not that, not that, not that, not that. There's the folder. Yeah, neckbeards on Sunday, and it'll be iPop the following Sunday. This is what, Wednesday? Tomorrow's this is going up on Thursday, so I hope the weather's a bit more decent outside tomorrow. I really should get out and walk about outside. I mean, you can only do so much exercising in the house. And I've got my equipment, I can do a fair bit, but it's better to get the air about you, I suppose, when you can. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.